All right. Good morning. Mostly, I assume good morning, but good afternoon, good evening to colleagues that might be joining us from other regions. Welcome to today's informational webinar on UN Digital ID program, which is one of the flagship services or priority services that the UNSDG Business Innovation Group is promoting. This particular initiative is led, managed, and was launched and sponsored by the High-Level Committee of Management and still falls within that governance and portfolio. But the Business Innovation Group is bringing it as an opportunity for all of the UNSDG entities to benefit from these services, and basically the services that the UN Digital ID will have, and the benefits that will have for all of the staff of various agencies, including those of the UNSDG. Today, we have the pleasure of having Max Merelli with us, who's the director of the UN Digital ID program, a seasoned reformer in the system, and he will be speaking to us about the UN Digital ID and how it started, which always amazes me because it started with a challenge, basically. And we also have Vivian Leung, who will be supporting us. Vivian is a coordination specialist for the High-Level Committee of Management under the Chief Executive Board, and both will be amazing experts to walk us through this amazing initiative. So without any further ado, Max, I'll be passing the floor to you in a second, and after your presentation, we'll have an opportunity for question and answers, as we always have for these webinars. Over to you, Max, please.
Thank you, Samir, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and presenting to you the journey of UN Digital ID. As Samir said, I'm Max Merelli. I'm the program director for the Digital ID program, and I'm joined today by Vivian, the program coordinator. Vivian, if you would like to say hi.
Hi. Back to you, Max.
So Digital ID is a flagship program. I'm going to give you a quick overview of what it is. It's been sponsored by the HLCM, the High-Level Committee on Management, and it's been rolled out to 6 organizations as we speak, with more joining very soon. What it is in a nutshell: Digital ID, as the name says, identity, is a unique identity for each and every one of the United Nations system staff, regardless of contract type, from onboarding to retirement, which means that it will be your digital companion accompanying you throughout your UN life, from the moment you join until you leave the UN, accompanying you with all your changes through life. So if you get a spouse, you get kids, if you get a promotion, if you relocate to another duty station, if you get relocated to a different organizations, Digital ID will be always there with you. And it starts with the technology. So we developed a technology that's based on open source, but it actually creates a common understanding of what it is to be part of the UN family. And we're trying to create a borderless digital ecosystem for the global workforce of everyone within the UN. And I really like the quote that you see right here on the screen from Catherine Pollard, the Undersecretary General for Management Strategy, Policy and Compliance, when she's saying that we're not just building a tool, we're building the foundation for a smarter and more connected UN, meaning we're creating an engine or a conduit that will allow data to flow freely between your organization or even across organizations if you need to share that data with someone else. A little bit of history. We started the program, as Zamir was saying, 5 years ago in 2020. It actually came out from a contest, 2 contests actually, and we were lucky to win both contests. The second one, the most important one, was the Reimagine the UN Together Challenge in October 2020. There were about 83 other initiatives and ideas, and we were so lucky to win. All the other great ideas were also then put forward for other type of initiatives, but we got the backing and the support from the HLCM. And so in 2021, 6 organizations got together: UN Secretariat, UNDP, UNHCR, UNICEF, the Pension Fund, and the World Food Programme, and funded the program initiation phases, where we created a backbone of the structure. And in 2022, we started running what we call design thinking workshops, where representative of the 6 organizations got together and examined the pain points, the most repetitive process, the process that were consuming most time from their staff, and decided to have a digital alternative to those processes that was automated and making full use of a digital identity solution. In 2023, we got into the implementation mode. We created a program team and selected a program director. And in 2024, we delivered the very first use case, which we call the pension use case, that has been live for 1.5 years. And in 2025, we created 2 more use cases, one called BSAFE and another one called interagency movements. And I'll get to the details of those very shortly. So 5 years in total of history of digital ID. So why are we doing this? That's a fantastic piece of engineering. If you see there, it's a very convoluted way for highways and cars to move on highways at high speed, but it's really complex, and it's not the way we're supposed to be running our data. So data should be flowing freely on a very straight highways, while in reality, this is the challenges that we face on a daily basis. We have to go and find what the next process will be, the next step in the process, where my data is stuck. And this is what we're trying to fix and trying to create put to a better stage. So this might be your experience as well. You might have multiple and separate IDs within your organizations sitting in different systems. Some confidential documents might be stored in different locations and potentially even unsecured locations. You might have a duplication of processes and records, or missing records, or even poor data quality. And of course, the digital ecosystems within the same organizations or across organizations, they do not talk to each other. And this is what we're trying to fix. Of course, when you try and fix and propose change, people will get back to you saying, I'm sorry, the UN is this way and it will never change. So good luck with change. But this is the future that we're proposing right here. So it's a free highway of data flowing from your wallet into the hands of whoever needs to have your data. Of course, when you come with a digital solution, people will get back to you saying, I'm sorry, but we've been doing the same thing for the past 10 years. It's been working perfectly well, so there's no need to change. Or there's no need for another process or another system. Why do I need to have another app? And of course, there's a lot of effort that's required to move above the inertia to initiate the change. But once you get that change movement going, then the future and the sky really is the limit, because you then empower staff with a very powerful solution. Now, the benefits of using digital ID are twofold. The left-hand side, you can see benefit for staff, for you. You will finally have visibility over your data and the ability to have up-to-date and accurate information about yourself. So if you are in a situation where your employer, your organization doesn't allow you to see your personal records, with digital ID, you will have a first-hand look at your data and make sure that data is correct. And then once you have data in your wallet, you'll be able to share effortlessly and securely with anybody who needs your data. And from the organization perspective, once you get data in the hands of your staff, you'll be able to improve data quality and transparency, enable interoperability, which means data will be able to move across systems freely when it's supposed to do so, in an efficient and secure and cost-saving way. So we're moving away from a paper-based process to a paperless process and reducing duplication in the meantime. And of course, once you have digital ID deployed across different organizations, you can enable mobility, collaboration, shared services, and all of this will end up by reducing time and effort for repetitive process, which is especially important right now in times of financial constraint. These are the 8 principles that we've been building the program so far from the very beginning. We started with sustainability, which is the last one on your screen. We want to make sure that the program and the solution itself is sustainable. It is scalable. Potentially, we will be having every single staff of the United Nations system onto the solution sometime next year or the year after. So the solution has to be able to scale up to hundreds of thousands of people. Security, the solution was created with DevSecOps in mind and with cyber right there front and center, because we know how sensitive some of the information that we have are for staff. and also with privacy in mind. The solution is fully accessible to make it as inclusive as possible. It allows interoperability between systems and between organizations. It's based on the latest innovation, so we are a little bit of a spoiler for the next slides. We're using blockchain as the backend. We're using a mobile application, iOS and Android, for the front end, and biometrics and machine learning for the identification. And another key principle is to make the application forward-looking and future-proofing. We don't want to recreate another solution in a couple of years because our blockchain, for example, is outdated. So we also have this very important principle in mind all the time, that we need to have a solution that's going to be working for the next 10, 15 years going forward. And the most important one on that slide is the pride. Pride because we're doing something good for the UN as a family, and pride because we're giving back pride to staff of being part of an organization that is now, again, modern and using cutting-edge technology to power their day-to-day life and their processes across the board. Okay, moving forward. I already talked a little bit about the solution technology, but let's deep dive a little bit on it. We are using open source technology, and all the components that you will see today are based on built-in software that's based on open source technology by UNICC, the International Computing Center in Geneva. And this allows us to be not locked into any specific vendor, and allows us to have unlimited use cases, which means once you've deployed and delivered a digital identity solution on your wallet, you can start powering use cases such as onboarding, separation, medical records, security, access to systems, access to premises, mandatory trainings, and so on and so forth. The backend, we talked a little bit about it. It's blockchain, a distributed ledger that allows us to have the information redundant and duplicated across the different organizations. And also, and most importantly, to have immutable, traceable, and auditable records of anything that happens on the blockchain. Now, let us get this straight right from the beginning. We're not talking about Bitcoin's blockchain, so we're not mining any Bitcoins. You're not going to be losing any money if you use digital ID. We use a very secure and private version of blockchain, which is based on Hyperledger Indy technology. And which means private means it's nobody outside the UN will be able to get the data or see the data or even get close to the data. And it's permissioned, which means that in order to be able to write onto the blockchain, you need to be a trusted authority. And to be a trusted authority, it means you are part of the 6 organizations or the new organizations that will join soon, Digital ID. And so you are an employer or a trusted authority within the UN, which is able to write data on your behalf. The blockchain itself does store only credential definitions, schemas, and verification of data. No user data is stored in the blockchain. And we're using the same blockchain technology that has been used by the pension fund. If you're familiar with the digital certificate of entitlement, it's another mobile application. It's actually our sister app, which takes care of people after they're retired to make sure that they are still alive and receiving pension. We use the same blockchain technology and the same biometric identification. So it's a very solid solution that's been live since 2019, and we are building on top of the same solid foundation. And now going back to the point about privacy of data, the blockchain itself does not store my data. So if I receive data from my employer at this time, UNICC, I would receive it in my wallet in the mobile application, as you can see right here on the right-hand side. And the blockchain will not store my data. If I share that data, say, with WHO, because I need to provide medical information to WHO, the blockchain will store the fact that I have shared data with WHO, but not the data itself. The data will only be accessible to me and WHO if I chose to do so. When it comes to the technology components, I mentioned the front end. So what the user will be using is a mobile application. It comes in 2 flavors, iOS and Android. The mobile application contains a digital wallet, which is encrypted and safely storing information on your device. It doesn't necessarily require a corporate device. It can also be installed on your personal device, and you don't have to have a very powerful device. In order to use digital ID, we take care of even older devices running from iOS 15 and Android 13. So you don't have to be running the latest technology or say an iPhone 17 Pro in order to use digital ID. And for the organization components, organization will be accessing a web manager ID, which is a web application that allows organizations to see the status of your wallet and make sure that you have received the credentials you're supposed to receive, you accepted them, and if there's any issue with your credentials, they'll be able to take action on the credentials themselves. And the last point, which is very important, we do not touch the ERP systems or the HR systems. Those will still be the source of truth for your HR personnel records. We are simply complementing them and receiving information from the ERP systems via APIs into the digital wallet. Okay, so we talked about the history, we talked about the technology, but what can we actually use digital ID for? So the first use case that went live last year was the pension. We chose pension because it's a very simple use case for us to test, and it only includes a subset of the population, doesn't include the full population, which made it easier for us to prove that the technology was working and it was actually providing value to organizations. And we have a video that will actually speak for itself, and all the screenshots you're going to see on the screen are actually taken from the real application.
At the United Nations, security matters, and so does your time. Now, with the new BSAFE certificate feature in the UN Digital ID app, your verified trainings stay with you wherever you go. No more chasing old records, uploading PDFs, or retaking courses. Add your certificates to your digital ID wallet, and you're done. Need security clearance for starting a new position or travel, or moving to another UN entity? Just open up your digital wallet and share your credentials. What used to take days, now takes seconds. Simpler, safer, smarter. UN Digital ID, all-in-one solution for the UN family.
I just wanted to say that if you're like me, I was seconded twice within my career, so I moved organizations. This is my third organization, and during my life, I had to do BSAFE 3 times already. And I really wished I had digital ID with me when moving, because then all of my mandatory training certifications would be already certified by my previous employer, and I would have been able to transfer them into my new employer. So the last secondment was to UNICC in January, and of course they have a different set of mandatory training, which overlaps a little bit with my previous employer. But all in all, I had to redo 16 mandatory training certifications, which took me about 2 weeks. So imagine being able to skip all of that and being able to get on the job and prove that I already am certified for all of those mandatory trainings, and be able to start the work on day 1 instead of day 15 or 16 down the line. And of course, implementing BSAFE training certifications provide this type of benefits for staff and for the organizations. So first of all, automated compliance auditing. So security officers can know at any point in time who is compliant with BSAFE or not. There's a lot of time saved for staff and managers. There's no need to chase or check all certificates in PDFs, or maybe you lost your certificates, you have to call back your previous employer to get your certificate. Of course, onboarding efficiency, because you can actually get to the new job and start working immediately instead of having to go through mandatory training certifications. And again, from the perspective of the organizations, there's a lot of return on investment, because you can actually transform a recurring manual administrative task into a zero-touch automated process, which basically saves you weeks for every single staff you onboard. And now expanding the scope of mandatory training certifications to the whole of the interagency movements, which you might be familiar with. The type of interagency movements that we have at this point in time are secondment, loan, and interagency transfer. Whenever you move or change organizations, you have to basically redo the onboarding paperwork. Now, if you're lucky, most of this information is you still have it somewhere saved in a file, or maybe you have paperwork that you can prove to the new organization, the receiving organization. But if you're not that lucky, like myself last time, you might end up spending weeks before you actually get all your entitlement and all your benefits certified by the new organizations. So for example, in January, I transferred to UNSDG, and I couldn't get my kids to be recognized for about 8 to 9 weeks before the final process was agreed. And so for 9 weeks, which is about 2.5 months, I didn't have any medical insurance or health insurance for the kids, which was a little bit disappointing. So imagine being able to transfer all the information with me when I move to another organization in a matter of seconds, instead of having to go back and forth with admin people, HR people, security people, and imagine all the time that they waste trying to get all my data correct and upload it into their system, which is slightly different from the other system that I was using before. So elimination of re-onboarding paperwork, faster productivity because I can get into the new job and start working almost immediately. I will have almost a certainty of accuracy in the entitlements because everything will be digitally saved in my wallet and I can transfer it correctly to the new organizations. Example, leave balance, step increments, other benefits. And of course, the organizations as well will save time because they will be able to have onboarding, which is so much faster compared to what we have today. And imagine multiplying the same type of savings for all the staff that are moving across the UN system. And the last point that we want to implement with interagency movements, we also want to have the possibility of staff receiving the digital ID credentials by the minute they join the UN. So imagine you join on day 1, and on the same day you can generate credentials and save them on your wallet, and then the credential will follow you throughout your career until you retire someday in the future. So this is the past and this is the present, and now we're looking at the future. We don't stop here, of course. We are in the process of onboarding new organizations on top of the 6 that founded the program 2-3 years ago. We have a number of other use cases that we need to agree on that are in the pipeline and that will provide a lot more value compared to what we have today. And we need to start implementing those use cases for the future. So from an organizational perspective, UNOPS has already officially joined the digital ID family. So from 6, we're already at 7, and we have 4 other organizations joining before the end of the year or maybe beginning of January. So in January, there should be about 11 organizations. And then we have received interest from additional 7+ other organizations. And so if you look at June next year, potentially we could be looking at 15, 16 organizations in total. So we're expanding horizontally by increasing the number of organizations and also by allowing every single staff of these organizations to have credentials in their wallet. How are we doing this? By using the onboarding scenario that I mentioned before. So if if everything goes well and everything goes as planned, in June of next year, we should have about 100,000 or maybe more staff using digital ID and enabled to use digital ID within different organizations. Now, this is great because it will then provide us with what we call an interoperable system-wide data backbone with shared financing and governance, which is going to be a key enabler for UN 80 initiatives, especially around efficiency. And last point of attention, and this is another spoiler on the future use cases, we gave a technical demo of digital badges at the last HLCM meeting in Vienna, where we allowed people to scan a QR code via their digital ID application and then get access to the meeting room. And by doing so, we really showcased the potential for the future use cases. We increased interest into a solid product that will deliver value, and it's actually working towards a more efficient UN. Now, we mentioned a little bit the future use cases. So this is the glimpse into the future. Once you have your digital identity, backbone data into your wallet, then you can start thinking about very useful things like, for example, single sign-on. Imagine being able to log into your computer by using your phone. So you can forget about your password, you can forget about passkeys. All of these can be a thing of the past. And once you're into your computer, then you can log into your ERP, HR, or any UN system for that matters. And UN Digital ID can complement your current system for single sign-on and potentially down the line replace your multi-factor authentication. Then imagine being able to, the second use case, imagine being able to apply to a job using digital ID. So you have all your information about your past employment history, your digital certificates for completion of mandatory training certifications, languages, everything you have on your history and your employment before is in your wallet. So why don't we allow staff to apply to jobs by using digital ID? It is a little bit like applying to a job, probably you're familiar with this, using your LinkedIn profile. So you don't have to retype all your information. You don't have to fill in a new specific form or PHP. It's very, very convenient for staff. But with digital ID, the beauty of digital ID is that all the information that it's in your wallet is already pre-vetted and pre-verified by an organization that is within the UN, which means that virtually eliminates the need for background verifications. For example, if you are applying with LinkedIn profile, nobody's checking on your grade that you are putting out there. Nobody's checking on all the language proficiency that you are claiming to be fluent in on LinkedIn. Nobody's checking on your previous employment. So these things will definitely save time for the staff, but also time for the HR people that are going to then run verification checks afterwards, after you're selected as a candidate, and potentially speed up also the application process by eliminating the background verification. And now moving to the third use case, we already alluded to, digital badges and accreditations. So imagine being able to forget about your plastic badge when you get into the building. In the morning, you can use a digital version of it, which sits in your wallet, and tap your phone into the turnstile and get access to your premises. Now imagine that, being able to do that in your organizations, but also if you're visiting a friend in another organization, if you're visiting another field office somewhere else, if you're visiting HQ, you will be able to receive digital accreditations before you travel. And so by the time you get to the door, you don't have to queue up in the visitor line and make sure you have a passport with you, because everything will be already pre-validated for you. Your identity is verified by blockchain, and you will experience a seamless entry into the building. And imagine being able to do that across the UN system. So that would be fantastic to have that solution, the all-in-one solution for digital identity and badges. And the last use case that we have in the pipeline is about enabling the wallet to receive and send money. So payments through the wallet. So you'll be able to use digital ID to pay at the cafeteria, share, maybe send money to your colleagues, receive money from colleagues, with the end goal that at some point in the future, maybe 3-4 years from now, 2-3 years from now, we'll be able to receive also, if you wish to do so, also the salary from the UN. You'll be able to receive it directly as digital currency into your wallet. Now, we're almost reaching the end of the presentation, so then we can open up for questions, but I wanted to share a couple testimonials of people using the first use case, the pension one. So on your left-hand side, you can see the Director of Wellness for the World Food Programme, saying that the digital ID saved him countless hours of paperwork and administrative tasks when sharing data with the pension fund. So Mr. Sergio Arena was very impressed by the seamless experience of sharing data with the pension fund, which took only a few minutes compared to days or weeks when you do it manually through the normal manual process. And on the right-hand side, the Deputy Country Director of Myanmar, again for the World Food Programme, he used again digital ID to share data with the pension fund, and he was already looking forward to the potential benefits of using digital ID as a collaboration tool across the UN family. So he was already foreseeing that this will be even more beneficial by enabling things like digital certificates of completion for mandatory training, interagency movements, and so on and so forth. So all of this information that you hear from me, you can find it also on our portal, undigitalid.org. You can log into the Digital ID portal by using your UN account. And on that portal, you can find how-to guides, learning videos, and most importantly, FAQs. And you can get in touch with the team. There's also a lot of materials when it comes to how to use digital ID when it's deployed into your organization. So it's our one-stop shop where you can go and get all information about digital ID. And I think I have one last slide, Zamir, before we conclude. These are our email addresses if you want to engage with us. If our conversation sparkle any new ideas that you would like to share with the team, we'll be very happy to hear from you. And if you can share your experience and contribute to the digital ID development, because we're trying to make this program as useful as possible for staff and across the UN family.